Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Ajnanatimrandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padkamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudiraye. Nashtaprayeshva Bhatreshu Nityam Bhagvat Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtiki Tada rajastamo bhava kamulobhadayascha cheta ite anavrittam sitam sattve prasidati. Bolo Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Welcome, dear devotees, those of you who are watching us here on Zoom, as well as those of you who are watching us on Facebook. Thank you so much for joining our call today. Today is Friday, and we have got Srimad Bhagavatam reading. And we are reading from chapter 8, the very famous chapter 8 of Bhagavatam, which has got the prayers of Queen Kunti. And we are leading up to those prayers of Queen Kunti, but before that, we will see Krishna handling a disaster in the family, in the Pandava family here. So the verse for today is going to be verse number 15. And so I'm going to recite that verse for you. Yadyapyastram brahmashiras tva amogham cha prakrityam vaishnavam teja asadya samasham yad bhrugudvaha. Synonyms: Yadyapi, although; Astram, weapon; Brahmashiraha, supreme; Tu, but; Amogham, without; Check is Cha. And I think I have the wrong screen sharing with you going on. Let's see, Sadhna Mataji is smiling. So here we go. Okay. So synonyms one more time. Yadyapi, although; Astram is weapon; Brahmashiraha is supreme; Tu is but; Amogham, without any check. cha and apratikriyam, not to be counteracted. Vaishnamam, in relationship with Vishnu. Tejaha, strength. Asadhya, being confronted with. Sama Shamyat was neutralized. Sama Shamyat. Bhrigu Udvaha, O glory of the family of Bhrigu. So we were reading in the previous weeks about how Uttara, who was carrying Abhimanyu, and Ashwathama, the son of Dronacharya, he was unhappy because his friend was killed, his friend Duryodhan, and was dying actually, and also his father was killed in the battlefield. So he was very unhappy with that. So he wanted to annihilate the entire family of the Pandavas. So the last vestige was there in the womb of Uttara, and he wanted to kill them as well. So he had released the Brahmastra, which was now following Uttara, and Uttara had come running to Lord Krishna to say that I want to, please protect me, by Himam Trahimam. Okay. So in this verse, O Shaunaka, glory of Bhrigu's family, although the supreme Brahmastra. So suddenly we find here that there is a mention of Shaunaka Rishi. So it's a reminder that this is the narration of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is happening, and this is the first canto. So in the first canto, everything that is covered in the first canto of Bhagavatam is happening in a place called Naimisharanya in India, and in Uttar Pradesh, close to the city of Lucknow. And so Shaunak Rishi is Sutta Goswami is telling the Srimad Bhagavatam to Shaunaka Rishi and an assembly of sages who have gathered there to perform a 1,000-year yajna. So as he's talking, he's addressing, Sutta Goswami is addressing the Rishi, the head of the Rishis, Shaunaka, and he's saying, "O Shaunaka, glory of Bhrigu's family." So Shaunaka is actually the son of Bhrigu Maharaj, son of Bhrigu Rishi. So, and he's a glory because, Shaunaka is a very famous Rishi of his time. So he glorifies his family. So that's what we also have to do and see that whatever family that we are born in, are we really the glory of our family or not? After we are dead, what will our others in the family think about us? What are they going to say about us? What are they going to talk about our behavior? What are they going to talk about our lifestyle? And are they going to say that the person who left was a Vaishnava? Right? So that is how we will glorify our families. So Oshanaka, glory of Bhrigu family, although the supreme Brahmastra weapon released by Achyutama was irresistible, right? So it was a very, very powerful, it was a very, very powerful weapon. It was an irresistible weapon. But now here comes the but part of it. And irresistible, not only was it irresistible, nobody could resist it without check or counteraction. Nobody could counteract it with anything else, right? Because earlier, when Ashwatthama had released the Brahmastra towards Arjuna, and Arjuna had come running to Krishna to say, I don't know what is this light that is following me. And then Krishna reminds him that, you know how to counteract it. So Arjuna was able to counteract this weapon from Ashwatthama with his weapon, and there was an even bigger glare, but then the weapon got retracted. So here he's saying that, it's without a check. Nobody can check it. Nobody can counteract that weapon. It is irresistible. It was, although all these things were there, in favor of the Brahmas. It's a very, very powerful Brahmas that Achyutama had unleashed. And it was neutralized and foiled when confronted by the strength of Vishnu or Lord Krishna. So this is a very important thing for us to keep in mind, right? So this is a Brahmas, and as this verse is saying, that it's a very, very extremely powerful weapon which is there. And such a powerful weapon, and not only is it powerful, after all, we have the atomic bombs, right, that were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. They were also powerful in their own right. But with these Brahmas that we're talking about, are they nuclear in nature? Yes, they are. But they are of a different kind. Our nuclear bombs are kind of like a Ashwatthama kind of thing, that we unleash them and then we don't know how to withdraw them, right? You drop a bomb and then that's it. It starts wreaking havoc. And there's no way for you to say, okay, now stop. You cannot do that. But here in the Brahmas is not a mechanical weapon in that sense. It's a they would take an arrow, any arrow, and then that arrow would get converted into Brahmas through the power of mantra. And so one of the things that was very much required was to have faith. So it's very important, just like Ashwatthama had faith in the mantra. Whatever mantra he was reciting, he had faith that that mantra is going to convert that arrow into a Brahmas for him, right? And just as we also have faith when we also pronounce some mantras, right? For example, when before we offer our bhoga to the lordships, there is that verse that we recite: Om apavitram pavitro va sarvavastha gatopi va yasmaret pundarikaksham sabaya abhyantar suchihi. So he says that whether something is pure or it is impure, right? Sarvavasthagatopiva, doesn't matter whatever the condition of that item is. But Yasmaret Pundarik Aksha. So if somebody remembers the Pundarik Aksha, the lotus-eyed Lord, right? So if you remember and recite his name, then Sa Bahaya Abhayantar Suchi. So whatever is inside him and whatever is outside of him, which means the instrument that he's trying to purify as well as his body, everything gets purified. So when we are chanting this mantra, we should be chanting it with the faith that, oh Lord Vishnu, I know I'm in this material world, and we have read enough about the modes of material nature in all these past chapters of Bhagavad Gita that we have been reading. We know how modes of nature act upon us, and we are kind of helpless before them. And they also interact with each other. So even if you're trying to clean something, even if you're trying to clean something, you will always end up with some dirt. For example, you say, okay, my hands are dirty. I'm going to open the door and to where the faucet is, and I'm going to open the faucet. I'm going to take some soap and I'm going to wash my hands. Okay. And then you close your faucet. Now the faucet is dirty because you used your dirty hand to open the faucet. So now your washed hand, you again touch that dirty thing. Okay. And then you might say, all right, fine. I'm going to clean the knob also of the faucet. All right. You can clean the knob of the faucet, but then when you come out, you have to open the door knob, which you had opened in the first place. So there is no way that you can avoid being dirty in this material world. And no matter what you use to cleanse it, you will always have some kind of impurity there. Physical, material impurity will always be there. You want to take a towel to dust things. Well, where did you wash the towel? Right? In the in the washing machine. What else do you wash there? Right? So there is no chance. And then you pick it up. Were your hands clean? Where did you fold the towel and keep it? Was it clean? Was there not an insect roaming around in your closet and did something on the towel? So there is no way that you will be able to guarantee 100% cleanliness through these mechanical means or physical means that we have. And that is why we have to find a solution which is at a higher level. So we rise ourselves from the gross to the subtle. So from trying to clean things with soap and water, now we try to purify things and make things happen using mantras like that, right? Power of the mantras. We do achman, right? So what is coming from our taps? Right? It's water, right? And what kind of a water is it? We don't know. It could be water from the gutters that went through a purification process and somebody declared that it is clean water and everybody should drink it, like that, right? Or even if it's not coming from those sources, even if it's coming from a river, it's there in some kind of a tank, stored in that tank for a very long time, right? And you don't know what else slipped into it. So, and it could be microscopic, you can't see them also. And so there's always, even the water that you take to wash your hands, to do the achman, it is dirty water. So what we do before we do our achman is when you fill your achman cup, you say Gange cha, Yamne cha, Godavari, Saraswati. So you call all these sacred rivers by touching that water. And the faith is that those rivers will come into your little cup and purify that because these are sacred rivers. So there's always a faith. Whenever you are reciting any kind of a mantra, there's always a lot of faith that is involved. So faith has to be there as the first item. It has to be there. So, similarly, when it comes to the Brahmastra, a person, before reciting the mantra, picks up the arrow and is about to convert that into a Brahmastra, then he will have a sankalpa. And the sankalpa will say, who is it that you want to kill? Who is it that the purpose of that Brahmastra is very well defined? I want to kill this person. I want to kill the embryo in the womb of Uttara. And I don't want to kill Uttara because she's a married woman and she's a lady, she's married, and she is pregnant. I don't want to kill her, but I don't like the child who's there in the womb. So I'm going to release and unleash a nuclear weapon, Ashwatthama thought, which is just going to go and kill the embryo. So these Brahmastra can be very, very pointed. And that's it. After it kills, it'll kill Parikshit Maharaj. You can imagine a nuclear weapon just coming and killing the child in the womb and not doing anything to the mother who is just connected to the child in the womb. That's amazing kind of precision and amazing kind of control that these weapons had, and the person who was invoking these weapons had, right? So for this particular one, it says that, all right, so there was a Brahmastra which was released by Ashwatthama. It was irresistible, it was without any check, and it was without any counteraction, let's say, right? But despite of all these things, despite of all these wonderful things that this weapon had, when it came to Supreme Personality of Godhead, this weapon was nothing. It was nothing. He was able to neutralize it. He was able to do everything that went against the grain of the weapon. So this is another way. Srimad Bhagavatam is about glorifying the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And so no matter what we talk, what we do, what stories we pick up, what examples we give, each one of them should be ultimately glorifying the Lord, should ultimately be connected to the Lord, like that. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada, and Prabhupada's purports are always very, very, very interesting. So I'm going to read from the purport for you as well here. And so here in the purport to this, Prabhupada is talking about that in the Bhagavad Gita, of course, in 14th chapter, we talk about that in the Bhagavad Gita, there is Brahmano hi pratisthaham, that particular verse, 14.27. It says in the Brahma Samhita, in the Bhagavad Gita, sorry, right? So in the Brahma Samhita, it is in Bhagavad Gita, it is said that the Brahmajyoti, or the glowing transcendental effulgence, is resting on the Supreme Lord Krishna. Brahmano hi pratisthaham. So pratishtha means it's resting on me. So in other words, it's saying that the glowing effulgence.
My apologies. I couldn't hear what you said.
Okay, Siri. In other words, the glowing effulgence known as Brahma Tejas is nothing but the rays of the Lord, just as the sun rays are the rays of the sun disk, right? So he's saying, Prabhupada is now trying to bring in that, when this effulgence comes from Krishna, which we know as Brahman, and in the first canto, second chapter, we talk about Bhagwan, and it says, Vadanti tat vedas Satram yad Brahma darshanam Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagwan iti shabdate. So it says that the Supreme Personality of Godhead can be known in three aspects. There's Brahman, there is Paramatma, and then there is Bhagwan, right? So the Brahman, we said, is the effulgence or the strong light that comes out of Krishna and from the body of Krishna. And it is also known as Brahma Tejas, right? And it is nothing but the rays of the Lord. So just as the rays coming from the Lord are very, very powerful and very, very bright, the effulgence is very strong. Similarly, not similarly, but along the same lines, when you release a Brahmastra, the effulgence that comes out is also very, very bright, right? So now Prabhupada is explaining further. So this Brahma weapon also, although materially irresistible, could not surpass the supreme strength of the Lord. The weapon called Brahmastra, released by Ashwatthama, was neutralized and foiled by Lord Shri Krishna by his own energy. That is to say, he did not wait for any other's help because he is absolute. So some very strong points glorifying Krishna actually come over here. But I'm going to talk about them, bit by bit here. So first thing we have to remember is that for those of you who study biology or have kids who have studied biology and the human body and birth of a child and how the child stays inside the womb of the mother, and it's in a bag. So there's a lot of protection that the child has, right? So it's not just the child is there in the womb inside a bag. Inside the bag there is water, there's the amniotic fluid, which is there, and which actually protects the child from, if the mother goes and bumps against something, then the child's head is not going to burst because the water is there, right? So, and the womb, and for those of you who have given birth and after the child comes out, you realize that the womb was the safest place for the child. It's there inside the mother's womb. Who can do anything to the child, right? So one would think that a child in the mother's womb is in the safest of place. But in this example, we say that it is not the safest of the place. There are others who can go and actually, wreak havoc inside the womb. There are weapons. Just 5,000 years ago, people had weapons like that who could go and kill an embryo. I mean, that's another story. That nowadays it happens all the time, right? People go and they have unwanted pregnancies. They'll go to the doctor. Doctor will charge a nice fat amount of money, and you give you injections, and that's it. You come out guilt free and say, I don't even know anything happened. I was under anesthesia. But we have to remember that this is a very, very wrong thing to do, because one is killing somebody, and that too somebody who is very, very helpless. And there were rules, and we had done a verse which talked about, especially when Ashwatthama had killed the five sleeping sons of the Pandavas. There was a very nice verse which said that, if somebody is sleeping, if somebody is surrendered to, somebody is weak, somebody is old, somebody is a small child, or somebody is a woman or female, you don't kill them. But we mercilessly these days kill embryos in the womb like that, right? So, so it is Kali Yuga. There is no peace for the embryo. You don't even know when the embryo is going to be killed, right? The soul comes there. The soul is inside the womb. Suffering. Already the suffering is there, and then more suffering comes in the form of a knife that comes to cut it off. Right? But even if that is not there, you can see that other people can have influence on you, and like this Brahmas is coming over here to attack Uttara's son, like that, right? So a very interesting thing over here is that Krishna has talked about Brahmajyoti. Prabhupada has talked about Brahmajyoti, and he has talked about one aspect, right? Brahmeti Parmatmeti Bhagavan iti shabdate. So there were three aspects of the Lord. There's Brahman, his effulgence. There's Paramatma, how he stays inside our heart. Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagavan iti shabdate. And then the third is the Bhagavan. Okay? So Paramatma, we know Paramatma is the super soul who lives in the heart of everybody. And when we say everybody, this means that the Paramatma is in the heart of an animal, he's in the heart of an ant, he's in the heart of a mountain, he's in the plants, aquatics. He was in the heart of Uttara. He was also in the heart of Parikshit, who is actually in the womb of Uttara. He was also in the heart of Ashwatthama. So Super Soul was there everywhere. And he's Upadrishta Anumanta. He observes and he gives you permission. So when Ashwatthama wanted to do that rotten act, Krishna gave him the permission, because subsequently then he would suffer, and through that suffering he will evolve into a better being later on in his future life. So Krishna is there as the super soul, right? He is in this body, that body. So this means that Krishna was also there in Uttara's body, and he was listening, right? He was listening to her. He was cognizant of her fear. She had the fear that my child is going to be killed, right? And any mother is so much attached to the child that they might even say that, it's better that I die, but let my child live. That's the mother's mentality. And so Uttara is now seeing this, so she has got this emotional attachment to the child, and she's fearing. And so if she's fearing, then the super soul in the heart, super soul in the heart knows her thing, right? And of course, Parikshit Maharaj from within the womb also, can sense. So there could be some fear, like, what is this effulgence is coming towards me? So those things are there. But yet, Krishna did not help from inside. Although in the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, we read that Sarvasya Chaham Hidi Sannivishta Matta Smriti Jnanam Apohanam Cha Vedescha Sarve Rahamev Vedyo Vedanta Krit Ved Vedev Chaham. So he says that from within your heart, I will give you knowledge and remembrance and all those things that he's going to give that, right? But here, in this case, he did not give remembrance through Ashwatthama that what he's doing is wrong, right? Right? Of course, he gave a little remembrance to Uttara to remind her that she has to run to Krishna, right? He did that. But if he was the super soul, and the super soul in our hearts is in the four-handed form, as we know, four-handed form of Vishnu, and in his four hands he has the Shankha, Chakra, Gada, like that, and Kamal. So he has all those four things, and he's inside a heart. So if he had a Gada in his hand, and Krishna, we had read earlier that he can angani yasya, right? So any of his angas can perform the job of any other anga, and Krishna can take anything. For example, in the when we talk about the Bhagavatam being spoken here in Naimisharanya, the sage who was supposed to sit in the Vyasasana and speak to the sages there was not Sutta Goswami. It was his father, Romaharshan. And so Romaharshan had come there, and he was sitting on the asana, and he was going to start his discourse to these 1,000 people. So the person who's sitting on a Vyasasana is sitting on a very, very respectable position. And the Vyasasana, no matter where you're sitting, even if it's a chair or if it's a cushion on the floor, whatever, it's a beautiful singhasan that you are sitting on, it is still a Vyasasana. And once you sit on the Vyasasana, there are certain duties that you have, towards Krishna Katha, like that. So he was sitting on the Vyasasana. And so the person in the room where a Krishna Katha is going on, the person who's sitting on the Vyasasana is supposed to be at a superior level than the others who are there in the assembly. So when Romaharshan was sitting on the Vyasasana, at that time, Balaram entered. Now, Balram is nothing but the Supreme Personality himself. For those of you who are reading the Chaitanya Charitamrita know that when Krishna expands itself, the first expansion is Balram, right? And the two are non-different, like that. So Balram entered into the arena. So it's okay for you to be sitting on the Vyasasana and to think that I'm superior and I have got this position and people, like that. So, but he was thinking that, and everybody stood up to welcome Balram, but he was thinking that, oh no, but I'm in the Vyasasana. I don't stand up. I'm the one who's speaking, and others are listening. And if all others are coming, they will come, they will sit. And those inside, they want to bow down to others, that's fine. To the incomer, they can do the bowing down, but I don't bow down to them because I'm the Vyasasana. And which is okay. And that's why sometimes you will see that when a student who is late in the class comes in, and if they want to say Hare Krishna to the teacher does not respond. They might internally accept your obeisances. They will not speak because that will disturb the flow of the class and disturb the others who are trying to listen there, right? So there's a decorum that has to be maintained while having Krishna Katha. And so he was maintaining that, but what he forgot was that there is Balram. And when the Supreme Personality of Godhead enters your arena, you better stand up. And if you don't stand up, then Balram is not going to like it. Balram is Lakshman, right? So anyway, so he took a blade of grass. He just took a blade of grass and he cut off the head of Romaharshan. And all the sages who were sitting there, Lashana Krishi and all the others were sitting there, and they had given their blessings to Romaharshan. And they had said that, may you live a long life. And then in walks Balram and he chops off his head. And then the Brahmana started, complaining to Balram and said, hey, Balram, we just gave him the blessings. And so these in those days, when you are a sage and when you are a Brahmana, there are certain qualities that you are supposed to have and you're supposed to exhibit. And one of the qualities is that you do not tell lies. You do not speak untruth. Whatever you speak has to be true. right? Even white lies, So so Balram is there, and and that is why, because these people always spoke the truth, whatever came from their mouth was always the truth. So whenever they said anything, which could be a blessing, or on the other extreme, it could also be a curse that they gave. So whether it was a blessing they gave or whether it was a curse that they gave, it always came true. Why? Because they inherently always spoke the truth. So now they have just given the blessings, and Balram has gone and he has cut off the head. And so they were saying that, what do we do now? So then they said, well, a father lives in the body of the son. After all, the son's body comes from the body of the father. So then they ensconce Sutadev Goswami on the throne and on the Vyasasan. And then Sutadev Goswami then narrates the Srimad Bhagavatam like that. So in the beginning of the Bhagavatam, you will say Roma Harsha Bhihi. So Roma Harshan is referenced in the beginning in the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, in the second chapter of Bhagavatam, first canto, second chapter. So it's mentioned over there. So when it comes to the Lord, he can just take a blade of grass and convert that into a weapon. So from inside the womb of Uttara also, he could have just done something about it, right? He could have just done something about it, but he did not do that. And there is a reason for that. There's a reason. After all, Lord is all powerful. And actually, if you were to think of that, we always hear about Lord and his energies. Hare Krishna. Hare is his energy. Krishna is the Lord. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. So wherever the Lord is, we are talking about the energy also. The two go together because energy and the energetic cannot be separated like that. So the two are always together. So, and then we know from Radha comes the various expansions. And Durga is one of the expansions of Radha, right? So Durga is expansion. And then Durga it controls this material world. She manages this, right? With her three-pronged Trishul is there. So she's managing all that. So Durga is there. Radha is there. And so many gods are there. If Krishna really wanted, he could have delegated this task. Hey, some foolish person has leashed a Brahmastra, so please can you just go there, take care of it? I'm here playing, right? And he's there. He's on the spot. He's at that Mokai Vardat is how they say in Hindi, that he was there at the scene of crime. He's there, but he doesn't do anything in that way, right? But and why is it like that? Why is it like that Uttara has to run to Krishna and then goes and does it, right? So we have to go back and take reviews of the Bhagavad Gita and to first understand that why does Krishna come to this material world? Okay, now if you can pick up your pads and answer this question on the chat of this and tell me, why does Krishna come to this material world? What is the reason Krishna comes to this material world? And I'm waiting for answers over here. Okay, Sadhana Mataji says to remove the miscreants. That's very good. And to protect the righteous, says Khyati Mataji. And that is true. Those are the two primary reasons. And Sukumal Radhe Mataji combined the two, and right. And there's a famous verse in the Bhagavad Gita, Yada Yada Hi Dharmasya Glanir Bhavati Bharata, right? So he says that Abhyutanam Adharmasya Tadatmanam Sajamyaham. So whenever there is a decline in religion and a rise in irreligiosity, then I will Sajamyaham, I will come down, I will descend, right? Why do I descend? Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam, right? The dushkritam are the bad ones, miscreants is how sadhana translated, and that's what it is, right? So that is the reason he comes. So among the two reasons that Krishna comes here, paritranaya, that to protect the sadhunam, or vinashaya cha dushkritam, The vinashaya cha duskritam could be something that could have been easily done, by Maya. Maya could have gone and killed like this Ashwathama before he could even, unleash the weapon, because Krishna can communicate to Maya also, right? From his own mysterious ways that he communicates. So he could have done all of that, but he's not doing it. And why he's not doing it is that the primary reason that he comes here is to protect his devotees. This is the main reason that he comes here. And he enjoys doing it. And then there's that other rasa aspect also. And there's a very sweet relationship that you see between Krishna and his devotees, which is what is being illustrated in this narration that we have of Krishna how he protects Parikshit Maharaj in the womb of Uttara. So, paritranaya sadhuna vinashaya cha dushkritam. Okay, so now here's the question that if we have let's assume we have a child, right? You can choose son or daughter, you can choose yourself, right? And then we have a nanny in our home who takes care of the child, right? And then suddenly the child is in the another room playing, and you are in one room, and it's a big room. You're in one corner of the room, the nanny is sitting in another corner of the room, and you two are doing your own thing, and the child is happily playing in the other room, right? Now, if the child lets out a very loud shrieks like as if the extreme danger that the child is in, what are you going to do? Here's a question. And answer briefly on the chat, okay? Tell me A or B, okay? So A, you will send the nanny. B, you will run yourself. A, send the nanny. B, run yourself. All right, so everybody has given a B, right? And then Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, what does he say? Mata dhata pita maha. I am the mata, I am the dhata, and I'm also the pita. So Krishna has got that motherly feeling for all of us. So if one of us is shouting and saying, Trahimam, 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 Krishna won't send the nanny. Krishna won't send. That is why Krishna will come. And this Vedic literature that we have, this wealth of information, and the Sanatan Dharma that we follow, and all this wonderful um, philosophy that we have, is emphasizing this fact that God loves you. How much does he love you? That he leaves the wonderful place that he is living in. Chintamani prakara sadmashu kalpa vriksha laksha vriteshu surabhira bipalayantam lakshmi sahasra. Right? So what is it? He's living in a place which is studded with gems. And what kind of gems? Chintamani. Chintamani means you pick that gem, and whatever you think, you will get it. What a wonderful place that is. There are so many surabhis, there are so many cows which are there. There are so many Lakshmis and Gopis that are serving him. Right? So he leaves that beautiful place and he comes over here where you can't even get ahimsa milk easily. He comes for us. He comes because he loves us. And his primary purpose is paritranaya sadhunam. And after describing all the incarnations of Krishna in the 3rd chapter of Bhagavatam, which we did a couple of years ago, then in the end, Vyasadeva says, Ete chamsa kalapumsa. All these incarnations that we are talking about, Rishabdev, Dhanvantri, so on and so forth, Ete, all these cha amsha, these are just your amsha, these are just your point, fragments of you. Ete chamsa kalapumsan, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Krishna, you are Bhagavan. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Indrari Vyakulam Lokam Mridyanti Yuge Yuge. So he says, Indra is demigod. Indrari means those who are the Ari. Ari means enemies. So those who are enemies of Indra, which means the Asuras, right? There's Suras, demigods, and Asuras, right? Demons. So he's saying that Indrari Vyakulam Lokam. So when this planet, this globe, gets vyakul, gets distressed by the demons. Indrari vyakulam lokam, mridiyanti yuge yuge. A millennium after millennium, you come here, Krishna, through Bhagwan Swam. So the verses are glorifying Krishna and they're saying that, you are Krishna. And this Krishna, Mridyanti Yuga Yuga, why does he come? Indrari Vyakulam Lokam. When somebody is in distress, Vyakul, distress by whom? By the demons. And our dear Ashwathama is no less than a demon. His behavior is completely demoniac, right? So demoniac behavior he's exhibiting. And so Krishna has to jump in, right? And he has to do the paritrana and sadhunam because Uttara is a sadhu, right? And Parikshit Maharaj is also a sadhu who's lying in her womb. So he has to take care of that. But then Krishna likes a little bit of drama. You know how people sometimes like drama? They will. So Krishna always likes some drama to happen. And so then he will come inside. He will come inside the womb of Uttara. And he comes in the beautiful form of Krishna, with the four things that he has, the lotus, the Shankh, Chakra, Gada, and the Kamal in his hand. And he sees that. And Parikshit Maharaj is a small baby and he's there inside the womb. And then he sees this beautiful, and how big is he? Only the size of a thumb. He just sees a very small, so you can imagine a very beautiful Vishnu with all the paraphernalia that Vishnu has. And he's inside the womb of Uttara. He's inside the womb, right? And this Parikshit Maharaj from inside the womb is looking at, who is this, And then inside the womb, he nullifies, takes care of the Brahmastra. And then Parikshit Maharaj is actually, just saved there. So one of the things that we have to keep in mind, and in this verse that Prabhupada said, was that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and it said that he does not need the help of anyone. We are the ones who need Krishna's help. We are the ones who you should be asking for help. And today, my godbrother Radhaka Babu sent a very beautiful, a very beautiful narration from Ramayana. And I mean, it's not a narration from Ramayana. It's just, a passage that refers to certain things, which are certain events that are happening in the Ramayana. And he talks about, and it's a very, very interesting thing because we are encouraged to grow up as I'm self-sufficient, I'm self-dependent, I don't lean on others to take their help, right? Like that. And to a certain extent, that might be okay because there is no perfect person that around us that we should be leaning to. Because whenever you lean to somebody and take help, they might exploit you and do all kinds of things like that. But if you go and ask for help from the perfect person and you take shelter of the perfect person, there is no harm in being that. There's no harm in being dependent on Krishna. As Uttara, she's a princess. They have just won the war, right? So, but still, she goes to Krishna and asks for help. Krishna, help me. Krishna, help me. And so, when we are not in that mood, then what happens is that I am something, I am a Bhakti Shastri, I am initiated, I am the CEO of an organization, any of these things can get into me and I get things done. What are you talking? I get things done. Everything around here moves under my commands, right? I am the big guy on the block, like that. So there is this thing that we think we are the doers and we think we are controlling everything and we think that this whole world is moving because of us. And if I was not there, what would happen? That's the theme of this narration. If I was not there, what would have happened? So they're saying that, in Ashok Vatika, right? Ashok Vatika is the place where our Ravan had kidnapped Sita and he had kept her in, sort of like a prison-like environment there. Although it was a garden, but, she was there, jailed inside it. So then there's this narration that comes that, when Ravan was very, very angry and, he had a sword in his hand. And when Sita refuses to marry him, he ran to kill her with his sword. And then, so Hanuman is just thinking that, oh my God, right? I should, I should just go and snatch his sword and break it into two, or maybe cut his head off with this sword. That is what I should do. I am a Vanar. I am full of strength, like that, right? But then he sees that, as Ravana is running towards Sita to kill her, he sees that Mandodari, who is the wife of Ravana. Mandodari is the wife of Ravana, and she comes and she holds back her husband. She holds his hand, and says, "Don't do it," right? And then, Hanuman is saying that, "Oh my goodness, if I would have, even before Mandodari could jump in and stop Ravana, if I would have jumped in and saved Sita from the clutches of Ravana, then I would have got that false ego that I am something and I am the one, that who saved Sita. And if I was not there, what would have happened? What could have happened if I was not there, right?" So he thinks like that. But then he says, but see what actually happened, that the task of saving Sita, Krishna delegated that to Mandodari. And who is Mandodari? The wife of Ravana. So look at the humorous situation here, that Ravana is trying to kill that lady, Sita, and his own wife is stopping him from doing that. So Krishna can, make anybody go and do anything that they like, right? And then he's just thinking that, later on he says that there was a Vibhishan, they say Vibhishan's daughter, but Khyati Majati much better. So there's this lady called Tri Jata lady. And so she says that, she has seen in her dreams that a monkey has come into Lanka, and that this monkey is going to burn the whole Lanka, right? So then Hanuman is thinking about that, and he's like, I don't know what's going on over here. Um, am I going to be that monkey who's going to burn Lanka? I don't think so. I can do that. I might be able to do that, right? And then he says that, okay, he's just thinking about that, and then he gets spotted by the kingsmen of Rama, and so they run after Lakshman. They run after Hanuman to kill him. So they have also got swords in his hands, right? So Hanuman doesn't even before Hanuman can do anything to protect himself, then Vibhishan comes. Vibhishan comes and he tells his brother that he is a messenger, and you don't kill the messenger, right? And so he didn't have to do anything. And who comes? So Krishna gave Paritrana Sadhunam. So Krishna gave the duty of saving his devotee to none other than Ravana's own brother Vibhishan, right? So it's a hilarious situation. You're trying to kill somebody, and your own people from your own family are, that. So then Hanuman just remembers, like, oh God, this is Krishna again, playing the thing, and he's actually busting my ego, which makes me think that I am something, right? So then here's the interesting thing, that when Ravana says that, okay, my brother is saying that don't kill him. My brother is saying don't kill him. So then what do we do? So he asks his, darbaris, he asks the courtsmen, what am I supposed to do? And then the courtsmen tell him, okay, let's do this. He's a monkey. Let us put his tail on fire. So they put his tail on fire, and then Hanuman, of course, we know the rest of the story, right? He burns the whole Lanka. And then he's thinking that, see, look at Krishna. He delegated that task to me of burning Lanka, but look at the beautiful way in which he did it, because I have just come from a foreign country, from India, and I'm here in Lanka. From where will I get a cloth? From where will I get something to burn my tail? how is going to tie it on my tail, and all those kind of things? But all that got very nicely arranged, right? So arranges Krishna arranges to protect his devotees. And if we think that, the child is in my womb and it's completely safe, it doesn't happen. Or if our child is sick and we think that our child, I'm going to give medicines to the child and the child is going to get better. It's not like that. Unless there is the sanction of the Lord, there can be no kind of protection that can happen at all. So this particular verse is talking about and glorifying the Lord, that look at the Lord and how he comes and how powerful he is. He's, the effulgence that you see coming from the Brahmas, which was so scary, the effulgence that comes from Krishna himself is million times more than the effulgence that comes out from a Brahmas. And the Brahmas itself is very very scary for us, for to talk about the effulgence coming from there. And actually in Bhagavad Gita, when Krishna is talking about all his opulences, right, where he says that among the dual compound, I'm Rama and Krishna, among the taste, I'm the taste of the water, and I'm I'm fine speech, memory, patience, I'm all that in a woman. So he gives all his opulences. I think he lists about 81 or 83 opulences in that particular chapter. So then after he lists all these opulences, I'm like the Airavat, I'm this and that. In the end, he says that, Arjuna, there's no need for you to get all this detailed knowledge. And which is by us, like I remember when I was giving Bhakti Shastri, to me, it was like, this is 81 opulences. I don't know which one Shvas Prabhu is going to ask me. So I better mug all these up and, remember all the 81 which are there. And so I was, all that. But then Krishna tells Arjuna that, there's what need is there for all this detailed knowledge? Because he says that with just a single fragment of myself, just a single fragment of himself, he says that I pervade. So as a single fragment, he pervades the entire universe. So that is why Krishna is also in the heart of Ashwatthama, he's in the heart of everything, he's in the stone, he's even inside his, inside an atom, Parmanu, right? He's in the Parmanu, which is atom, Brahma Samhita tells us, right? And then he's also in the Brahman, he's in the entire universe also. And not only does he pervade it, but he also supports that entire universe. And that is why we have Krishna, he's going out of his way, and then, but doing it in a nice dramatic way, right? Because if we had just a story which said that super soul from inside saved everything, and then it won't be interesting to us. What is really interesting to us is when there's a little bit of a drama, because we are human beings, we like drama. Because Krishna likes drama, we also like drama. And so when these narrations and these instances and happenstances are, happen the way they are, then they will stick into our memory. And then and we know that Krishna is Ananya, Krishna is unlimited. And Krishna here in the Brahmastra, they were talking about that, it is not something that it is irresistible and without check. And so nobody can check it. So Krishna is also like that Brahmastra. Nobody can check Krishna. If he wants to enter the womb, he will enter the womb. If he wants to enter your heart, he will enter your heart. Wherever he wants to enter, he will enter. That is Krishna for us, the absolute. So that is why we should always bow down to Krishna and in obeisances, and always seek protection of Krishna. There could be others offering you protection, but I tell you, those protections are useless, like the life insurance policies that we have over here. So once again, to recapitulate, we were reading about Uttara's plea to Krishna in the previous verses, and here we see that Sutta Goswami is telling to Shaunak, who's the son of Bhrigu Prajapati and Rishi. And so he's saying that although this Brahmas was, the biggest and the best of the weapons, nobody could counteract it, nobody could stop it, it was irresistible. But because Supreme Personality of Godhead was on the side of Uttara, and because nothing can stop Krishna, Krishna was able to protect him. So how he does that, what happens, is going to come in the next verses, which we are going to do, later on. But I'll stop over here, and we'll have reflections for a couple of minutes before I need to go to my other work. And you can unmute yourself and share any reflections, any questions that you have. We'll see how we can address those. And if you're watching us on Facebook, you can put your questions there also.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Sadhana Mataji.
Dandavats pranams. I have a question. You mentioned Durga, which is also Kali, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I was actually listening earlier to chapter 19. Mm-hmm. And that mentions Kali, the personification of Kali, where that is regarded as something that's not, is material and not uh, you know, I think the king goes to kill Kali, right? In that personification. Because I was kind of just wondering how to put that all together.
Yeah, yeah. So there's a subtle difference between the two, well, there's a subtle difference between the way the word is written in English. So in chapter 19, when Parikshit Maharaj goes and, he bring it on to, it does the bring it on to, that is Kali, Kali, right? And when we talk about Kali, as we know in West Bengal, right? That is Kali. So there is a with a bar on top of it. It's Kali versus Kali, right? So Kali is, the one that he was about to kill. And so Kali is the personification of everything that happens in Kali Yuga. All the bad things that happen over there, it happens there. On the other hand, Kali is an expansion of Durga. And why do we have Kali? Why do we have such a fierce root? Why do we have a, a, a demigoddess in that kind of a form, right? And the reason is not that there is something wrong with Kali. The problem is with us, that we are can be in three different modes of material nature, right? And depending on the modes of material nature that we are, we will go and gravitate towards a demigod of that who is best doing and showing, those kinds of qualities. So people who like to eat meat, who like to kill and that kind of stuff, but they're still a little bit devoted, they will go and start worshipping Kali. And later on in Bhagavatam, this was such an amazing thing that Prabhupada points out, and that's why I say that Srimad Bhagavatam purports are amazing. And so it comes with the story of in the fifth canto, where the story of Jad Bharat is being described. So there we have Raja Bharat, who falls in love with a little deer and then thinks about the deer, gets born as a deer. And in that body, he rejects the milk of his mother and dies, gives up that body. And then in the third life, because he's such an advanced devotee, so he remembers his previous lives. So this life, he's like, I won't say anything. So he's born in a Brahmana family. He's got elder brothers also, but this father is a Brahmana, but more like a ritualistic Brahmin. So he wants his son to learn to do this, learn to do that, but he just generally keeps quiet. But when the father dies, then all his brothers kind of shun him, give him the worst of the things to eat, and he sleeps in the fields and things like that. So one day he's sleeping in the field, and then there is a gang of dacoits who have come to that village, and they know that there is some, they wanted to, the chief wanted to get some powers, maybe a son or something he wanted. And so he wanted to propitiate goddess Kali. And one way of doing that was to give Narbali, was to kill a human being. And so they had caught somebody, and they brought him to this outskirts of the village, and they were going to kill him. But that man, escaped. He escaped and he disappeared. Now the time has come to do the sacrifice, and they don't have anybody. So there's other people in the gang. They are looking around for a person, and they find Jad Bharat. So they bring Jad Bharat with him, and Jad Bharat doesn't protest at all, because he has reached that high level of understanding that you cannot kill me. I am the soul. You can only do things to my body. So these people, all they go, they give him a bath, they put him new clothes and all that, and they take him there, and they are doing all their prayers. And as soon as they raise that sickle or whatever that thing is, the sword, to chop off his neck, goddess Kali comes out from the DT. She jumps from the DT, and then she takes that very same sword that they were going to use to kill Jad Bharat. She takes that sword and kills all the dacoits there. And Prabhupada in the purport writes, see, even Kali favors the devotees of Lord Krishna, because she is a devotee of Lord Krishna. So although people might be, she did not say that this one is my devotee, fine, this is what they do, let me save him, let them cut, and I'll drink the blood. She did not say that. But when a devotee was there, then other devotees of Krishna will go to there and try the very best to protect them, like that. So this protection thing, paritranaya sadhunam, happens at so many levels that it is being done. And so look at this Kali, which is, although appears very fierce, but in the heart of heart, she has a soft spot for the devotees. But then the Kali that we have, that 19th chapter that we are confronting is a different Kali, completely different one. Yeah.
Why is it necessary for a goddess such as Kali for people who are so demoniac to praise? Like, what is
Yeah.
they're being demoniac? Why do they pray to somebody? Because they're already like feeling like they're in charge, right?
It's a very interesting thing, you know. For example, here where we are, right, where you and I are living, if I want to eat meat, I just have to jump into a car and buy meat from Safeway and cook it and eat it, right? Or I can order in some pizza, chicken pizza, and it's here for me. There's nobody stopping me. I can eat as much meat as I want, as long as I have the money in my pocket or I've got somebody to supply the meat to me. I'm happy, right? I'll do that. So they are at the lowest stage of humanity, people who do that by way of consciousness. And then there are some who are at a slightly higher level of consciousness. And what they do, they say that, you know what, if you want to eat meat, what you have to do is you have to first take a shower, you have to do this, you have to sit down and do the mantra, you have to offer that lamb or whatever you're eating to the goddess Kali, and then you can eat it. So these kind of rituals, what they're doing is they are putting a little bit of a resistance, an obstacle there to, you know, completely free, complete freedom. I will do whatever I want to do. I will eat what I want to eat. I am the protector. I decide which animal I'm going to protect, my dog, my cat, and which animal I'm going to kill, a cow, a bull, a buffalo, you know, goat, chicken, fish. It's entirely up to me. I will do that because I am the Lord of everything I survey. I don't care what happens to the soul, what how they're feeling and things like that. So these kind of things are meant, they are again they're rituals and they're Purana, they're 18 Puranas, prime, and they are divided into 6. There is like Vishnu Purana is for those in the mode of goodness, right? And then there is Kali Purana, which is for those who are in the mode of ignorance. So idea is that okay, we know that you are an addict, we know that you have to do it, but we will have you do it in a controlled environment so that you get a little bit of a rhythm in your life, you understand what control is. And once you are fed up, maybe one lifetime, two lifetimes, 16 lifetimes of praying to Kali, at least you will get, you will be fed up with all this that you're doing, and then you will be willing to raise to a higher place. But up and until your desires are fulfilled, and that's why I always say in my lectures that this world is situated on desire.
Lust is there.
It is created to fulfill our desires. And it starts with very simple, with I want to enjoy independent of Krishna. I want to enjoy independent of Krishna, right? And what is that enjoyment? And in order to have that enjoyment, that is why you see a lot of variety also, right? A lot of variety. There'll be rich and there'll be poor. So why do we have rich? So that the rich can enjoy by comparing themselves with the poor. The intelligence can enjoy by comparing themselves with the less intelligent. The beautiful ones can enjoy comparing themselves with the less beautiful. So like that, there is always a comparison there. It's a world of duality. That's why you enjoy through that medium of duality by comparing, and there's a difference, and you enjoy that difference. This is sour. This is sweet. I like that. This is pungent. This is hot. This is cold. I like a hot water shower in the winters. I like a cold water shower in the summer. So that enjoyment, we have this enjoyment tendency like that.
But not we do. Do we have this attribute in Goloka as well with the speech in Goloka that doesn't exist, right? There's no
Yeah.
lust, so it's somehow created.
Yeah.
Between being in the spiritual realm to the material, there's some.
Yes. Yeah. If there is any desire in Goloka, it's the desire to serve Krishna. It's the only desire that the soul has there. And they are very happy just fulfilling that desire.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions?
I like the point, Mataji, which you say that like for me, like I am like Ashwathama, and then Krishna will not tell me. Krishna will be Updeshakta, and he will just listen. But all the sufferings I will get so that I can learn from them.
Yes.
So I really like that, and I will try to not complain about my sufferings that I'm getting because of my karma, and Krishna wants to teach me a lesson.
Yes. If we start looking at every obstacle that comes in our life as a situation created for our own betterment and for us to learn something, it becomes very easy because we are looking again for everything here in this material world. We always tune ourselves to channel WII FM, the FM channel WII. What's in it for me? WII FM.
Oh.
What's in it for me? Oh, this suffering. Oh, it's going to give me some learning. I'll take it.
Hmm.
Right? So there's always
That's why
I is there.
Kuntima asked that. That's why she asked, you know.
Yes, Kuntima asked that. Very good point.
She wanted all the time.
Yeah.
Can I say something, Shraddha Mataji?
Yes, please. Yeah.
I was reminded when you said that Balram cut off
Romaharshan said.
Romaharshan's head with a blade of grass, but then that same blade of grass is so humble that we trample over it all the time, and then Sanatan Goswami puts the blade of grass in his mouth and he bows down to Lord Chaitanya and asks him that why am I being tormented so much by the three modes. So
Exactly.
that blade of grass can be in so many different
Yes,
but
it's
mostly it's for being as humble as a blade of
very
grass.
nice. Yeah, very nice. And then look at the supreme. See, there is a lot of strength in tolerance. There is so much of strength in tolerance. You become very strong when you learn how to tolerate, because now the other person cannot ruffle you up. They keep on doing something, you just, stand there. Whether they're speaking words to you which are hurtful, and then the strong one can even take a few punches. I'm not recommending that you tolerate that, but people do that and they become very strong. And so look at the blade of grass, how strong the grass is, that people trample her all the time, but she takes it.
So when he puts it in his mouth, he's telling Lord Chaitanya that, I am coming to you as humble as I can, as a blade of grass.
Yes, as a blade of grass. And plus also when you have something in your mouth, then you cannot speak.
Yeah.
And when he's taking Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as his teacher, right? So that means the student has to keep quiet and the teacher has to speak.
Yeah.
So this is one way of putting it here. And which is so amazing that when I was here, when I came here almost, I think 21 years ago, I watched this movie when I used to watch movies. There was this, and at that time it was an old movie, like 20 years before. So this is a movie from 40 years ago. So it was a very different America at that time, where the kids used to call their father as sir.
Oh yeah.
So, so in that movie, this boy, uses this boy must be 4 years old or something like that. He uses some bad words, and so as a punishment, as time out, he's asked to go and sit in a small chair in the corner of the room.
Yeah.
So far I could relate with that because I had to go sometimes to the corner of the room also when I was naughty. But then this was amazing that her mother, she took a soap bar and put it in his mouth.
Oh.
And he was he cannot say anything. Yeah. And it's like, you speak bad words, dirty words, you use dirty words, now you use a soap to clean up your tongue. Your tongue has become dirty. So yeah, the tongue is a powerful weapon. Yeah.
Mataji, Mahishasura Mardhini is also that comes into the Kali.
Mahishasura is more Durga. People don't distinguish much between Durga and Kali, but I have noticed Durga comes on sits on a lion, right? A lion or tiger, right? She sits on that and she's beautiful. Durga is very beautiful.
Yes, she looks beautiful.
Very beautiful.
He comes with this Trishul also.
Yeah, all beautiful women come with Trishul. This is for the men who are watching this. But Kali has got, ghastly
He
things.
kills Mahishasura.
Yeah, that's why in the second canto of first canto of Bhagavatam, second chapter, it says Mumukshu bhi ghora rupan hitva bhuta prajinata narayana kalha shanta bhajanti hi anusuyavaha. So what's it again? Mumukshu bhi, mumukshu means liberation. So those who are desirous of liberation, what they do is hitva ghora rupan. So what they do is they reject the ghor, ghastly forms of the god. So they won't go and pray to Kali or any of those others, this Devi and that Devi and this Baba. They won't do that. Hitva bhuta prajin atha, which means that demigods also, they will not also go and worship this demigod, that demigod to get things. But what do they do? Narayana Kala Shanta. They worship the peaceful form of Narayana. Because they are in a mode of goodness. Even beyond that, they're trying to reach that place. Yeah.
The Mahishasura Madhini she is very beautiful and sober picture. But Kali, little ferocious, she's like that. That's a different thing.
Yeah. I see Valshana Mataji, Sadhana Mataji raising their hands. So in that order, I'll take the hands.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Mataji, I really like the point when you said that this world is created to fulfill our desires, and there are many varieties. And you see, there is comparison between the rich and the poor, and they live by that. You see, they enjoy by that. You see, the rich feels pride, and the poor longs for it. So, in two different situations, people are suffering. So it is amazing, Mataji. And today's lecture, Mataji, amazing. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, today's is fantastic. Lot of things which
God,
we
yeah, it is the Lord.
Every day it is good, but today is fantastic.
All right, so we'll continue talking about the Lord and glorifying the Lord. It comes from the Bhagavatam. Nothing comes from me. And Sadhana Mataji, I see your hands raised.
Hare Krishna. I think last Friday or the one before, when we did, I think it was 5.8, and we were talking about the efficient cause.
Mm.
Yes, and you had a question about what is the efficient cause, because we talked about the creation, right? And so today we're talking about the mother goddesses, and then in that story we talked about, I think the efficient cause was Maya, which comes from Radha, right? So
of Bhadrakali. Kali, who kills the people who are trying to kill Jadha. That's true.
No, I'm talking about we talked about the creation. And in the creation story, we talked about the efficient cause, right? When Vishnu glances.
Yes, and the glances.
And then we have the Maya, which is the efficient cause.
Yes, so the glance is the efficient cause.
The glance is the efficient
cause, which is Shambhu.
Okay.
Yeah, and it is. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
No, but then the connection is there's Maya is created that time.
Maya is there, already there. Maya is an expansion of Radha. She's already there. That's why Maya is the inferior energy, and Krishna never consorts with her, right? So although Maya will be responsible for creating everything material, and although she is energy of the Lord, and although she is a devotee of the Lord, but Krishna likes Radha more. He likes Maya.
And does she relate to the Durga and
Maya is Durga?
Goddesses
and Durga are the same.
Conversation we're talking about. How does that correlation happen then? Because in the Rasa dance, right, even all the goddesses turn up to want to participate. In the chapters, right?
That's Lakshmi.
Oh, Lakshmi. Okay.
Lakshmi, yeah. Lakshmi wants to participate. Yeah.
Not all the goddesses.
I don't know about all the goddesses, but I do know about Lakshmi because it gets talked about in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. It gets talked about, and also a little is reference in the 5th canto of Bhagavatam. And Lakshmi wants to go and dance with Krishna, but she is not able to participate in the dance. Yeah, right.
And she's also part of Radha.
Although she's a part of Radha, exactly.
But so is Durga, Saraswati, and
everything comes from the original energy. Yeah, all the Shaktis will come from there. Yeah, because she still has that little thing is there in her, that I am Lakshmi. She has that little thing. But the gopis don't have that. Gopis are 100% surrendered unto the Lord. And so only those can participate in the rasa dance, and others were not able to do that.
So in the rasa dance, it's all the gopis. I mean, all the gopis, he expands himself, so all the gopis think that he is dancing only with.
Yes. And
so he expands twice, I think, Mataji. This is the Rasa dance, and then that Brahma Vimochan Leela. There also he goes.
Also in Dwarka, when he's living with his 16,800 wives.
Yeah, Dwarka also. 3 times, I think.
He expands, yeah. He expands.
That's really...
So, Mataji, all the Durgas, Devis, like Saraswati, they are expansion of Srimati Radharani.
Yes. And it's a very interesting thing that there is Shiva, right, as you know, controller of the mode of ignorance, and then there is Sadashiva. So Shiva, as we know, who controls the mode of ignorance, if he has to control the mode of ignorance, he has to be here with us in this material world. So there is Shiva who lives in the material world that we know, and then there is a Sadashiva, and he's actually made up of Shiva Tattva, and he lives he's in between the material world and the spiritual world. He's in between them. And so when the material universes are annihilated, he doesn't get annihilated. He's there. That's why he's saying Sada. Sada means always. Sada Shiva lives always, right? And here's the interesting thing that, when Vishnu is Mahavishnu is wanting to procreate the world, he will never dally, right? He will never dally with Maya. So he glances, and when he glances, that Radha Rani catches that glance and passes it on to Durga. What is that, or Maya or Durga? And then what is that glance? That glance actually is Shambhu. We read that day, right? So that glance is Shambhu. And what is the Shambhu glance? It's an expansion coming from Sadashiva. Right? That's why Shiva and Shambhu, very complicated concepts there. Yeah.
Complicated.
Why is it called the efficient cause?
Because unless that glance doesn't fall, it will not happen.
It will happen.
It
Okay.
will not happen. Like, for example, if I take nails and a saw, and I take a hammer and I take a log of wood, a chair will not be created by itself, right?
Oh,
okay. Do that assembly, chop it, drive the nail. That is the efficient cause. So the efficient cause is Shambhu. But if you talk about the original cause, now when you start to going, but who's the original cause? Then so who glanced? Krishna. Now you want to go back even further. Who created Krishna? Krishna is the original. That is our definition of God. That is how we have defined God, that he is the original. At some point, this has to stop. Saying like, who is, from where did Sonal Mataji come? From her father. From where did he come? From his father. And that way you can extrapolate, but at some point you draw the line and say that the person who doesn't have any origin is God. That is God by definition. And we can call them anything that we like.
So here Uttara, whom Krishna is doing, he was from the beginning, from Arjuna. He was doing Arjuna and then Abhimanyu also, and then Uttara and Parishit Maharaj. He was just protecting all the time.
And that is what he does. Yes, and that is what Krishna does. If you are a devotee, then he will take care not only of you, but of your near and dear ones also. So we don't have to worry too much about it. Krishna have that faith. And that's why I was saying in the beginning that faith has to be there. And we have a message from Khyati Mataji, and she's saying that Demoness was the Rakshashi guard, and Sita Devi called her Mata. Very good. So she was related to Vibhishana, they say, some places, yeah. Okay, so it's 8:23. We are past our bedtime. Thank you so much.
We don't feel like that. So today's especially, now we just want to keep on listening.
There you go.
It's like our Shana Mata said, it's a fabulous class today.
There you go.
Love it. It's very good. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for being good listeners and very good participation towards the end. Vanchakalpatru.
Thank you, Shraddha Mataji.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Thank you so much.